In this video, let us see if we can set up Openflow in Snowflake environment and then build a pipeline. As we all know, Openflow is a managed Apache nifi built in Snowflake. So to understand more on Openflow, it is a data integration service that moves data or reads data from any sources and write data into any destination sources. But primarily Openflow used for reading the data from various sources and ingesting the data into Snowflake, where you can use a connector that is already available in Snowflake. So connectors in Snowflake Openflow are primarily used to read data from disparate sources and ingest into Snowflake. Or there are some connectors that also can move the data from Snowflake to outside of Snowflake environment. Let us see how we can access Openflow. In this case, on the left hand side, you have under the ingestion section, there is an add data, Openflow, copy history and migrations. Let's click on Openflow. Once you click on Openflow, it opens up an Openflow page. So when you click on launch Openflow, it is going to display the runtime and deployments. In my previous videos, we talked about the two types of deployments. One is bring your own cloud deployment, and the other one is SPCS, which is a Snowflake deployment. So for this demo, I've created a demo on SPCS, which is Snowpark Container Services. I've named it as demo SPCS deployment. The way you can do that is by using a create deployment approach. And as I mentioned, there is Snowflake deployment and bring your own cloud deployment. And then you can click on the next. In this case, because I've already created a Snowflake deployment, so this is grayed out. So and so there are just simple steps that are needed part of that Snowflake deployment creation. So I'll go back here, cancel, and then once you have a deployment is created, you would create a runtime and attach that runtime to a deployment. So when you create runtime, let's say it takes about few minutes. So I'm going to use a runtime that is already created. The way you can do that is click on the create runtime, choose the deployment, whatever is created, and then give a runtime name and provide what kind of node type you want to use for compute. You want to use minimum 1 and maximum number of nodes. And then also just select what is the role that you want to use to uh, operate this particular runtime. So there are other roles that are optionally set, and you can click on the create, that will create a runtime. And then when I click on the runtime, it is currently opening an Apache NiFi canvas. To do this, there are certain pre-configurations that we have to set up. Like I've said in my previous videos, if you go back to the Snowflake main page and then click on workspaces, and I've saved a document. I pulled this information from Snowflake official documentation that says use account admin and then create a role called Openflow admin role and then grant Openflow admin role to a user, which is my name here, and then use the role account admin again, or you don't have to because we are already currently on account admin role, and alter the user and set the default role to Openflow admin. I also set the default secondary roles to all, which means that if you log out and log in with this particular user, it takes care of primary role as Openflow admin, but you don't have to switch to a different role because you'll be able to perform all the operations where this user has required grants to. And we also have to grant create Openflow data plane operation for the Openflow admin role, and also create Openflow runtime integration on account to OpenFlow admin role. Also create compute pool and account to role OpenFlow admin. So these are the prerequisites before we even go to Canvas. Once you do that, and you can go to the OpenFlow UI. Once you launch it, typically, because I've just logged in, but it'll log out and it'll prompt you to log in with the OpenFlow user that you just created. Once you do that, go to the runtime, click on the runtime. It will open up a canvas which is just exactly same as the Apache nifi canvas. And then I'm going to just simply run a pipeline for testing purpose. So I'm going to just bring in my processor here, and let's say I want to generate some random data. So I'm going to create a random flow file processor. So once I have that, I'm going to send the data to a destination upon success or termination. So in this case, I'm going to just add probably a funnel stage, and then another funnel stage. I'm going to tag this one and say relationship success with settings, and I'm going to give a name for this connection called random data generator. Okay, and if I go to the details, I don't have anything here. I'll add, oh, this one is generate flow file random data generator. And also I'm going to just send this one to another file. So in this case, oh, I think I don't need to just do one particular. So here I have this funnel stage. I'm just upon success of this particular flow file, it is moving to a funnel. So let's see if I can run this. But before I run, I also want to see just if I can configure something over here which says some custom text like test file, right? And remaining, I'm going to keep it as is. Validate. It is validating the properties and they all look good. Click on apply, right? And then let's see if I can start this one. What is going to happen? It is generating 0 bytes right now, but there is some, I think there is one file, it is in queue. Let us see. It is actually generating anything. It appears that it is generating a 9-byte file size. And I click on the view, click on view here, shows that particular test file data is generated. And then I'll go back to the processor and see it is going to the queue, right? So this is what I want to say. So it is sending the data into a funnel, but we are not consuming that anyway. So it's a simple pipeline that generates data and sends it into a funnel. So this is how the OpenFlow works. And if you are already experienced on nifi, you can use your custom nifi processes. But more importantly, if you want to use connectors, you can go to the list of connectors by bringing the data, different connectors from the connector flow registry. Browse your connectors. You have several connectors here like Amazon Ads, Box, Google Ads, right? And Kafka related connectors, and then different database connectors, different unstructured file reader connectors, right? And SAS connectors. So you can bring in, for example, let's say if I want to bring in a connector which is like SQL Server or MySQL and import, it's gonna import a connector here which is also called as a process group. So, and we can, under the hood there will be multiple connectors. So if you double click on this, you have like This is MySQL connector, which has the initial snapshot load, and then it will also support incremental load. It will also have another processor group that just does stream staleness prevention. That means it will avoid any streams that are stale. So you can also go inside each processor group and see what are the different processor total configuration is provided. So you can just zoom in like this and understand the flow. So what it means, if you have to build it, you will have to build all the way by choosing each processor, like read MySQL stream and then set a source table, and then determine the destination name and then merge the rows into bigger flow files. So all of these you have to build it. But if you use a connector, it is just a prepackaged connector. You just have to give uh, a particular parameter context and controller services information. So you can just use it and write it into a Snowflake database. So this is how you can use Apache NiFi in a nutshell. So there is so much of experimentation that you can do with OpenFlow, which is a managed Apache NiFi from Snowflake. You browse configurations here. You have you can see controller settings and parameter context, and there is a lot of parameters that you can just revisit and validate what you can do with this. With that, we've covered a simple demo of how to connect to an OpenFlow on Snowflake and just run a simple generate flow file processor. But you can also use different connectors like I mentioned. With that, I am going to end this video.